He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora and welcome to Our Changing World. I'm Claire Kincannon. The soft crunch of the forest floor, the Rees River flowing in the background, the gentle bleep of a scanning receiver. I'm on a quiet, careful hunt.
There they are. Can you see them?
Yeah, I can. Chrissy Becker-Fifield spots them first. 2 rounds of blue feathers, red triangle beaks. A pair of Takahē.
Oh my gosh. It's so cool to see them in the wild. It's pretty amazing. So one's just up the bank, one's just down there doing a bit of foraging. I think they have spotted us, but they seem quite unfazed, so maybe we'll just stay at this distance. I'll turn this off.
Believed to be extinct not once, but twice, the Takahē, with a lot of help, is making a comeback, including here in the Rees Valley. Chrissy is part of the Glenorchy field crew for Southern Lake Sanctuary. It's an umbrella organisation that wraps around existing conservation groups in the Central Otago Lakes District to support them and expand their work. We meet at her house and hop in the truck. And on the way out of Glenorchy, she points out the golf course, where one adventurous Takahē was spotted by a local.
He made his way in 2.5 weeks from the very head of the Rees Valley all the way to Glenorchy.
What distance is that?
I think as the crow flies, it was something like 30 kilometres.
I know, but famously, Takahē don't fly.
Exactly.
Crows may fly.
Crows may fly, but Takahē don't.
walk.
Takahē walk. Yeah, we don't know if he followed the riverbed or if he came down the whole road.
Unbelievable.
Insane.
And so, what happened to him?
We caught him up the day he was spotted, and then he was just relocated back up the valley. And now, last time he was tracked, he's actually moved north, which is comforting. So he's not making his way back south. He's gone further up the valley, up north. Right. We're like, good, you listened to our talking to. We gave him a talking to before releasing him, and he's listened.
The tarmac runs out, and we hit the gravel road that leads into the Rees Valley. Our first stop is at a large wooden farm shed just off the track. So where are we now, Chrissy?
So we're at Temple Peak Station, where we actually store some of our bait. The landowners are awesome. They've sort of given some freezer space for us to keep things like sheets of dehydrated rabbit, but also full, whole, raw rabbits, for our box traps for things like rats and mustelids, but also the live capture cages as well. Just mind your step here because it's quite steep and slippery. All I'm going to do is grab a sheet of the E-rays or dehydrated rabbit, and we're good to go.
I'd not seen dehydrated rabbit before. The A4 size plastic packet in Chrissy's hand is full of a thin sheet of brown material, divided into small squares.
It's sort of every part of the rabbit sort of mushed up and then dehydrated, and then they're just made into little squares. It's just a lot more user-friendly. But we try and mix up the bait in our traps, but today we'll be baiting the Doc 200s that we're checking today with this bait.
Right, and will it just be like a little square of dehydrated rabbit?
Yeah, pretty much. It's got quite a pungent smell. Don't know if you want to stick your nose in there, have a sniff.
Oh yeah,
I suppose because it's frozen.
It's not too frozen. Yeah, it's not too pungent yet.
No,
I
not
imagine
yet.
that it will get.
Yes, but it does stay. The good thing with this is it lasts much longer than fresh meat. Fresh meat usually after the first even 2 days, sort of made redundant after that because pests don't really want to go for the rotten meat. But this will last. So we rebait our traps every month or so. This will easily last a month.
Great. Okay. And you want it to be pungent, so that's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to defrost. It's going to release beautiful rabbit aromas
Exactly.
to entice things in.
Exactly.
And the dehydration will mean it will stay fresh for a bit longer.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Pungent to us, but hopefully doesn't smell bad to a pest.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
yum.
Yeah.
All right. And so now onwards.
Yes, onwards. Let's get in the truck.
A bit further on, we pull over beside a map, so Chrissy can show me the layout. We've just driven onto the huge Rees Valley station, an 18,000 hectare merino sheep and cattle station, owned by the Scott family.
So we just came into the station, and then it goes all the way up the valley, all the way up to Mount Cunningham. So that's all private, and then it's surrounded by national park, especially up towards the top. And then on the left side, there's Earnslaw Station. So there are two huge stations on either side of the river.
And do you work with the owners of Rees Valley Station then to do trapping on their land?
We collaborate really well with them. So they do some of their own trapping, especially further back towards the township, where they also have quite a big patch. But all of the predator control done here is through Rootburn Wildlife Trust and Southern Lake Sanctuary.
So how far in along the river are we going to go today?
We'll probably go right up to where it says Arthur's Creek, and I can point out sort of locations where the Takahē were released back in February.
Oh, yes,
and
yeah.
there have been a couple more releases since then, so I can point all of that out to you. But we'll be checking traps along the road today and seeing if we can find a pair of birds that have actually made their home close to the river.
Chrissy mentioned the Rootburn Dart Wildlife Trust, and part of her role is to coordinate volunteers for the trust. The Rootburn Dart Wildlife Trust is a local conservation group in this beautiful and remote area. They've been working hard since 2013 to keep pest levels down and to monitor bird numbers. Not just in the Rees Valley, but, as their name suggests, in some of the other areas around here too. Kea, Kakariki, Totuai, Titiponamu, Mohua, Kaka, Piwawau, and various braided river birds. This rugged forest and alpine area, including both private land and Mount Aspiring National Park, is home to some of New Zealand's most iconic and threatened bird species. And now it's also home to Takahē, including one pair that's set up not far from the river or the road.
Keep your eyes peeled for sometimes a flash of red from their beak. They'll drive really slow. They're usually spotted over that side. It's a funny spot they've chosen. So they're often seen just in those ferns there.
The colours are so kind of green and brown that your brain kind of thinks, oh, a Takahē would be really easy to spot in there. But there's also lots of places that they could just be hiding away, really,
Exactly,
isn't there?
Yeah, it's usually that red beak that gives it away. Being in the vehicle is a great opportunity if you do spot them to sort of just sit back and observe, their condition and some behaviours, because it's a male and a female, and initially the female made her way here on her own, and then the male joined her, so he must have heard her calls and come to see what she was all about. So it'd be really cool if they did breed successfully as a pair, because it would be a really easy nest for us to monitor with the Takahē team. I'll just pull over here.
They've not revealed themselves during our drive-by, so it's time to pull out the bright orange TR8 receiver, which looks kind of like a TV aerial, and picks up the radio signals from the small transmitters that each Takahē is sporting.
Yeah, what you do is you just turn it on, plug it into the receiver. I'll turn it down. And then it's got all the channels of each bird. So each bird is radio tagged. They've got a little backpack on with a radio antenna.
And when you say backpack, like it kind of looped around their wings?
It's looped around their wings. It's like a soft cotton. And then there's an aerial on the back. The soft cotton is great because if for any reason it gets snagged, it can actually, if they tug at it enough, it can come off easily so they don't get trapped. Yeah, I've got all their channels saved here, and I'm going to see if we can get an alive signal, we hope, fingers crossed, for both of the birds that have made their home here along the road. So, the birds here are called Hariata and Pahia, and I'm just on Pahia's channel. We'll turn the volume up. So that's a really good alive signal.
And when you say a live signal,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
That sort of tempo, whereas if the beeps were a lot closer together, so beep, 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 that would mean, unfortunately, a mortality, which could also mean that the bird's just dropped its transmitter. So that setting will sort of kick in when a transmitter has been stationary for, I think it's more than 24 hours. It could just mean a dropped one.
So that pace of the beeps that you're getting back means that it's still moving around.
Exactly,
It's
yes.
on something that's moving around.
Exactly, yes. The strength of the signal doesn't necessarily mean that you're closer. It could just mean you've got really great line of sight. It can be a bit trickier in areas like this because we've got quite high cliffs on either side, so there can be bouncing of signals. But generally, if you get close to the bird, it doesn't matter which orientation you point the TR8, you'll get a signal all the way around. And then you sort of have to play around with the volume and the fine-tuning to really pinpoint where the signal's coming from. So yeah, let's see if we can find them.
We set off along the track, Chrissy pausing every now and again to point the receiver left, then right, then straight in front, listening for where the signal is clearest.
You can see a lot of the grasses have been trampled on, and they do quite a bit of damage to the vegetation, but it does bounce back, and they sort of move around and hit a site quite hard, and then they move, and then that site improves again.
Takahē snack on starchy leaf bases of tussock and sedge species, which are grass-like plants. And they can eat the underground rootstocks of ferns. It's a lot of fibre. Famously, they poo a lot, up to 9 meters a day.
You can see there's a trap right there through the trees. There's another trap sort of 100 meters past this one, and over the last 2 months, both of those have caught stoats. So it's really, it's sort of, you open the trap and you go, oh, but you think, thank goodness that this trap has caught the stoat right by these birds.
Yeah, you're delighted that it's been caught, but
Yes.
you're kind of terrified that it's here in the first place.
Exactly. Okay, we might nip into this forest, just where it's a bit clearer there.
And that's when we spy them. Oh, that's amazing. So when would these birds have been released into the valley?
Both of them were actually from the first lot of 18, which was in the middle of February.
And at the moment, the monitoring that you're doing is checking for those live signals from all the birds in the valley.
Exactly. So the main aim is just whenever we're out trapping, when we bring the tracking device, we just want to go through every channel of all the birds in the valley and just make sure that we're getting alive signals for everybody rather than actually finding every single individual. But yeah, it's pretty cool to do that alongside our normal work. It adds a whole new element to the job. Really cool to, be out checking traps and actually seeing the tonga or the native species that we're wanting to protect.
I had thought, obviously you could spot their red beak, but now that the bird is kind of turned sideways onto us, it does actually really blend in.
It does. They're really well camouflaged. And it's just crazy to me how, we're looking out here onto this. It's very swampy and there's a lot of water, and they just cruise on through. A lot of them further up the valley have crossed the rivers. They're not shy of water, so yeah.
And so when is nesting season? I mean, when will you know if they've settled down here?
Good question. I believe it's quite consistent across Takahē around the country, but just in comparison to the population released over at the Greenstone 2 years ago. So they were released end of August, so pretty much 2 years ago now. And yeah, there wasn't much thought of whether they would breed or not. They actually started nesting within 2 months. So it was sort of, right in spring is when they usually start to build their nests and lay those eggs.
And where did these birds come from?
These two came from Burwood, Takahē Centre over in Tianau.
Run by Doc's Takahē recovery program, Burwood is basically Takahē HQ. It's a large, secure breeding site, and it's also where Takahē born in other sanctuary sites go for training on how to become wild birds. Juveniles are fostered to adults, and they learn to forage for wild foods, and then they're ready for release. Currently, Takahē can be found in the wild in the Murchison Mountains, in Kahurangi National Park, and now here, in the Upper Whakatipu. Their first return to this area, as Chrissy mentioned, was to Ngaitahu tribal land in the Greenstone Valley in August 2023. Then in February this year, the first release took place here, followed by further top-up releases. Unlike this pair, the others, including the once adventurous one, have dispersed into the wider valley, further up the hills and away from the road. So we continue on, over a rough water crossing, through a frozen puddle, along a patch of forest, until we get to a high viewpoint. The burnt orange grassed valley cut by the blue braids of the river spread out below us.
Oh my.
Pretty stunning.
It's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Especially on a day like today, the morning cloud is kind of cleared off and it's just blue sky now.
Yep, bluebird day, fresh snow on the peaks.
Can you give me a bit of orientation here? What am I looking at?
So you're looking into the Rees Valley, into the head of the valley. So the national park, Mount Aspiring National Park, is at the very head of the valley. So there's the Rees River. It braids all the way up, or should I say down, because the water's coming our way. And we have traps on both sides of the valley. And they actually then carry on along the Rees Dot track all the way up to Shelter Rock Hut. They go over the Rees Saddle, which is that way, so through the ranges over there. And then they come over to Dot Hut, and then the Department of Conservation have a trap line that come out of the dot, so it connects really nicely. But we also carry on towards Cascade Saddle, and then as part of Southern Lake Sanctuary, that connects two of our hubs, because the Matukituki Charitable Trust have traps from where ours end all the way out into the Matukituki Valley. Which
nice.
Is that
so
way.
You've got that network just joining up and linking together.
Yeah. It's over 100 kilometres of traps, which is pretty insane to think about.
Well, especially in this kind of terrain that you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I can see some frost on a roof down below there.
Yep.
What hut is that I'm looking at?
So that's Arthur's Creek Hut. That belongs to the Rees Valley station owners. And back in February, for the first Takahē release, the majority of the birds were released there, but a few were released into the alpine areas as well. So on the left, I don't know if you can see, there's a terrace quite far up on the left there.
Yeah.
So that's the start of the Kia Basin track, which goes all the way up, and then there's a basin just through there. So there are two birds actually released up there. And then a couple towards the 25 mile, which is on the other side. And then more releases have happened, and they've been more up in the alpine areas, so further up this way, which is really cool.
So do you know how many birds in total have been released into the valley?
51 total so far. And yeah, the Takahē team have more, so more releases in the future will be happening.
And of those 51, do you know how many are still going strong?
Yeah, so we try and monitor them every month by just getting those alive signals, going into various parts of the valley to see if we can get signals for everybody. Sadly, we did get 2 mortality signals about 2 months ago, and then we flew in with the Takahē recovery team to recover the bodies of the birds. I mean, when that happens, it can also mean a dropped transmitter, but sadly in this case, 2 of the birds were found. Both were sent away for post-mortem. One, the result came back, it had a bacterial infection. The other one was unconfirmed because the body was very heavily scavenged. It's likely that it wasn't predation because there wasn't any evidence of predation on the head or the back of the neck of the bird. So that was quite a positive sign. But I mean, it's expected when you put in quite a big population into this new habitat. It's always expected that we might lose a couple. And since then, we still are getting 49 live signals. So, yeah.
And do you know, is it kind of a similar story in the Greenstone? Are the birds doing okay down there as well?
The birds are doing really well there. They did sadly have quite a few predation events just a few months ago too. And they believe it was maybe 1 or 2 stoats. So 1 or 2 individuals had such a huge impact. And I believe 5 of the 7 total deaths were confirmed stoat predation. But yeah, the Department of Conservation reacted really quickly. They put lots of new traps into the valley, into those areas. And they did actually manage to catch, I believe, 2 individuals were found in traps. And since then, they've had no predation. So fingers crossed, those were the culprits.
And in terms of your work here in the Rees Valley, who are the main culprits down here? Is it stoats as well?
Stoats, yep. We're very lucky to not have ferrets in the valley, touch wood. Feral cats were always a presumed predator. So we haven't had any evidence of them predating the birds in either of these sites yet, or hopefully never. But stoats are the main one.
Because of this, establishing the trap network was a key first step before DOC's Takahē recovery team would consider moving birds here. This high point that we're at gives good line of sight for about 5 kilometres down the valley. So Chrissy pulls out the receiver again to check for live bird signals, including one that's been regularly sighted nearby.
This individual, who I'll look for first, is called Lockie. There we go. Turn this up. Nice alive signal. And then what you can do on this device is you can go and start auto scanning, and it will just go through all of the birds on your list. And you just have to keep holding the aerial up. Oh, Waipuna got a signal. Oswald. Before I forget, I might just note these down.
In total, the scan through picks up 14 birds, all with live signals. Then it's time to head down to the valley floor to start checking traps.
So first trap of the day.
First trap of the day. We'll see if we've caught anything. I feel like there are 2 kinds of trapper. The trapper that will always bend down and look to see if the trap's sprung, or the ones like me that will only look when you've opened the lid, because I like the surprise. This one has nothing today. So we'd like to unset them all, just to make sure, especially in winter, because it can get quite frosty, it can freeze up the mechanism. So it's good to sort of unset them, and a lot safer too for rebaiting.
And this is a DOC 200.
This is a DOC 200, so targeting rats and stoats and weasels.
It's kind of a workhorse of the trapping world, the DOC 200, right?
It is, yeah. It's one of the most popular traps. So put some fresh dehydrated rabbit in. Reset it. And done. It's also good to just make sure the entrance is clear. And there we go.
Done.
Done.
It's almost like you've done this before, Chrissy.
Yes. I dread to think how many times I have actually rebaited a trap. Thousands, probably.
There's about 50 traps on each side of the valley. So we get back in the truck, only to stop about 2 minutes later.
So there's a lot stop-starting on our journey back out, Chrissy.
Yeah, lots of stop-starting. These traps are roughly between 150 to 200 metres spaced apart. But then on places like this, actually, where we've got this ford, we've actually got a trap on either side. So there's already one over there that we'll rebait afterwards. But yeah.
And you've got a GPS map where they're all marked on?
Yep, so we use an app called RNZ where we log all of our catch data, and we also log when a trap hasn't caught anything. So 0 is the number 2. We want to know which traps are catching, which ones aren't. And it's really great because we can generate a map of trap catches, which helps us sort of identify hotspots for different pests.
As Chrissy checks and rebaits this trap, a helicopter flies overhead, probably to the nearby heli ski field, with some people taking advantage of the newly fallen snow. One of the members of the Scott family, the owners of the Rees Valley station, works as a pilot with Heli Glenorchy, and there's now an agreement where empty seats on tourist flights will be offered to the field team to get easy access to the Upper Valley to do their trapping and monitoring work. Today, Chrissy's colleague Gareth is doing the long walk in along the valley floor, and will get to as many traps further down as he can before the light goes. Each year, they'll also help Doc's Takahē recovery team to deploy pest monitoring cameras to try spot which critters are about. And of course, this pest trapping and monitoring will help other natives too. As we turn from the trap to look towards the river, we hear a bird call and see a small, fast flicker across the smooth river stones. Chrissy pulls out the binoculars.
Yes, that's a dotterel. Okay, so they're back for the breeding season. So over the next few days, it's likely that more and more will just keep arriving. Last year, when we were running cat traps, which we have to check every day because they're live capture traps, we have them all along this road as well. Last year, around this time of year, I would get down to this area on the first day, maybe see 2 dotterel, next day 10, next day 20.
Right, once they start to come back, that'll be it. They'll all show up all of a sudden.
They'll all come over.
Alongside the banded dotterels, this valley is home to other braided river birds, including black-fronted terns and wrybills, both of which I've got a soft spot for. But today, having seen my first wild bird, it's the Takahē my mind keeps returning to.
I'm like looking down, obviously I can't see them, but you're just looking down the valley thinking, there are Takahē out there.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been for a very long time, but there are now.
Yep, for centuries. And now the valley has them back, which is incredibly special.
Thanks to Chrissy Becker-Fifield of the Southern Lakes Sanctuary. This episode was produced by me, Claire Kincannon, production help was from Ellen Rikers, and sound engineering was by Phil Bench. If you have any feedback or questions, you can email us, ourchangingworlds@rnz.co.nz. Tēnā koe I whakarongo mai. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Claire Kincannon. Have a great week. Kia pai, the wiki.